Hello, Pokemon fans. Welcome back here to the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. I'm Dan Levinson. I'm joined by Joe Brown.
How's it going today, Dan?
I'm
It's a
alright.
little cold.
It's just a tad little cold, as you can see in the foggy window behind us with the snow coming down. But we are just about to start here for the round two match here in Pennsylvania between Kyle Morris and Danny Hemchend, both running really strong teams, and they're at a 1-0 to start.
Yeah, Danny and Kyle are 1-0, and I was going to make a slip and say they're local players, but I forgot we're in Pennsylvania. We're not in New York, New Jersey right now, so relatively local. I think Kyle has picked up a lot of steam over the last couple of months, been getting top cuts and things like that. So definitely becoming a premier player in our region, and obviously Danny, a world's qualified player. So this is going to be a fun match.
Yeah, both Kyle and Danny both qualified for the World Championships this year, and Kyle actually came second at the Georgia Regionals. So definitely a strong player, and I should expect a really good best-of-3 match from both.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see. We saw in our first match with the more offensive Porygon 2 for Paul, which you don't see too much, but that put in a lot of work. We saw Destiny Bond and the Frost Last. Maybe we have awesome stuff in store for round 2. You know, not maybe. I know we have awesome stuff in store.
Yeah, Porygon 2 really known for that carrying for that Bolt Beam combination, but we did see that Shadow Ball, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what other Porygon 2 surprises we're going to be getting in the future matches.
So let's get into it. Round 2 here at the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. Kyle Morris on the bottom of your screen. Danny Hemchen on the top. Kyle's rocking the team of Lapras, Porygon 2, Alolan Marowak, Celesteela, Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Koko. While Danny has the Vanillux, the Mandibuzz, thank you. I want to say Braviary, but that would have been sacrilegious. Garchomp, Kartana, Arcanine, and Tapu Fini. The Vanillux I've seen actually picking up a lot of steam on Battle Spot.
Yeah, and then looking at Kyle's team, having that Lapras also, I know in the past I've been seeing it with Assault Fest, and even on yesterday's stream with over in Arizona, they had a grassroots tournament. I saw the surprising Sheer Cold knocking out a Celesteela one-hit KO. So always interesting to see what kind of Lapras people are trying to run, but also Kyle running that dual Tapu between Tapu Koko and Tapu Bulu. So being able to switch between terrains will be really fun.
I really want to see some freeze dry hits. I hope he's running it one and that he connects on them. But we'll see what happens. Kyle has the Lapras Tapu Koko lead, and Danny opens with Mandibuzz and Vanillux. So his two most interesting Pokemon on that team is what he leads with.
Yeah, just last week over in Texas, we saw Nick Navarre running the Mandibuzz, and I think he also had a Psychic Say with it to increase special defense, but he also ran that Tailwind too, so that's something to keep in mind going into this match. Being able to control your speed in Pokemon is always important, as we also saw String Shot being used by that Vikavolt. But seeing the Vanillux also being able to do good damage onto that Tapu Koko, and Lapras being able to threaten the Vanillux perhaps with a Freeze Dry.
Yeah, Mandibuzz, no Tailwind here. Going to switch out into Kartana. Tapu Koko is going to go first because it's the fastest. No, Blizzard, obviously, right.
Yeah, it's
totally forgot.
Yeah, it looks like a Choice Scarf from that Vanillux.
That's interesting, and it's obviously 100% accurate, but doesn't get a knockout. Dazzling Gleam hits both opponents, but a Hydro Pump into the Vanillux slot. Almost gets the knockout, just survives that hit. But we're going to see the Hail Tick damage there. So Vanillux faster than Tapu Koko with that Scarf.
Yeah, really, really cool to be seeing these Pokemon carrying all those surprising items. Choice Scarf, always that #1 pick, depending on, controlling your speeds, because naturally Tapu Koko would be the fastest Pokemon on the field, but Vanillux definitely giving the surprise.
Ice Shard, priority move. He does not care about the Choice Scarf there. Vanillux getting knocked out. Tapu Koko with the hidden power onto Kartana. It's super effective, so fire?
Yeah, perhaps it could be fire. That ×4 weakness would be really good.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting if he gets that knockout. But Danny now knows it has the hidden power, so it's going to be missing one of its more common moves, Tapu Koko, like a Volt Switch or a Discharge, something like that. Mandibuzz comes back in, and here's the Arcanine.
Yeah, Arcanine going to be setting up that Intimidate, probably Well, it could drop a little bit on that Ice Shard, but Lapras is naturally a special attacker. But Kyle really taking commanding of this match already, ahead by 4-2. And I mean, Tapu Koko definitely can threaten that Mandibuzz with electric type attack with that electric terrain set up. But Arcanine can also threaten back with extreme speed, perhaps.
Arcanine with the Protect. What does Tapu Koko go for? Thunderbolt into the Mandibuzz, and it will bring it down to the red, but it will eat its berry. Is it Papa? Is it citrus? What is it when Mandibuzz go for? It's the citrus berry. Just making sure we got all these crazy berries in Gen 7, Dan.
Yeah.
Tailwind, as we were talking about earlier, gets it up. So now Arcanine's going to be pretty fast out there, but the Hydro Pump goes straight into Protect. So Danny, some strong positioning here, at least for the next couple of turns, will be faster.
Yeah, Danny really trying to climb back here. Being down 2 Pokemon already, I think right now he's just trying to get as much information as he can. He is down 2 and could also decide to forfeit, not really trying to show anything else on his team and using that surprise that he might have on his Arcanine to bring it back in these next 2 games. But it's always good to find out more information.
And here is that Flare Blitz coming out onto Tapu Koko, obviously going to get the knockout there. But what does Mandibuzz go for? Is Danny going to reveal some more interesting moves from them? And the foul play, it is a dark type, so it's going to have stab on there. Not do too much, obviously, since Lapras doesn't have that high of an attack. Hydro Pump connects with the Arcanine, going to knock it out. Danny's now down to just the Mandibuzz, so might be moving on to game 2.
Yeah, Kyle really getting more information there, finding out that Danny's Arcanine is a physical type, and just knowing that it carries Flare Blitz over Flamethrower could really make a big deal in the next potentially 2 matches.
Grassy Surge going to come out here. Obviously, give a little bit of leftovers recovery to Mandibuzz, but in a 3-on-1 situation, I really don't see how Mandibuzz can pull this off.
Yeah, even with the Tailwind, it will be the fastest Pokemon on the field, but having to deal with a Lapras and a Tapu Bulu is really threatening to it.
There's the foul play onto Tapu Bulu, but it is resisted from that Fairy type. Horn Leech going to recover that HP that it just lost and doesn't get the knockout. So good for Kyle to learn how much Horn Leech does to the Mandibuzz there. But if Lapras goes for another attack, Freeze Dry, then that's going to get the knockout. And Kyle wins game 1 here in round 2.
Yeah, really, really great work by Kyle. And even if Danny had forfeited, I think he still got more information. He found out that Tapu Bulu is Life Orbed. And generally, Tapu Bulu does carry a whole mix of items. We have been seeing that Z Crystal or the Leftovers or even the Substitute set and just for being able to recover health back. So, and you know what, even the Choice Scarf too. I have been seeing Choice Scarf Tapu Bulu coming around. So getting that information going into this next game can be pretty vital.
Unfortunately, no Boom Zoom coming out on Tapu just because it's fun to say. So wish you had the Grassy move. But going into game 2, Danny has to adjust there. He had the element of surprise with the Vanillix, but that Blizzard not getting enough damage off. Mandibuzz switching out that turn. He wasn't able to take advantage of that surprise.
Yeah, just Lapras being that full force, taking and all those attacks, being with the potential bulk that it has. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's carrying the Assault Vest because we didn't see a Protect, I think, and all those attacks didn't really do much. Even the foul play, it did about 0.25% there. So. But anyways, it looks like we're going to be going right back into the next game between Danny and Kyle.
And that Ice Shard, obviously important in case Danny gets Pokemon that are very low. As we saw, the Vanillix getting knocked out because of it. So, again, Kyle on the bottom of your screen, he won game 1, has Lapras, Porygon 2, Alolan Marowak, Celesteela, Tapu Bulu, and Tapu Koko. And Danny has Vanillix, Mandibuzz, Garchomp, Kartana, Arcanine, and Tapu Fini. Maybe we see Tapu Fini this time around?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think even though Vanillix is carrying the Choice Scarf, besides the surprise and getting big damage onto Tapu Koko, it probably makes sense to switch it out. Yeah, Tapu Fini could be a good choice. Even Garchomp, but again, it does get threatened by those Fairy typings, so it might be best to try a different Pokemon here going into this next game.
Hopefully for Danny, he can get that Mandibuzz to get a Tailwind off earlier so he doesn't have to rely on the Choice Scarf, Vanillix, getting Kartana to outspeed the Tapu Koko or Garchomp to outspeed Tapu Bulu with that Poison Jab. That'd be important.
Yeah, even the Kartana could be useful because that Lapras was the biggest problem and the biggest threat. So being able to deal out super effective damage like Leaf Blade onto Lapras could be very important.
let's get into it. Danny needs to win game 2 to force a game 3. Kyle on the bottom of the screen, Danny on top. We are at the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. Joe Brown, Dan Levinson here. Happy to be here with you guys.
I'm happy to be here with you.
Thanks. Appreciate it. He had to say it. I mean, it would have been
I had to. It's kind of
didn't.
forced to.
Tapu Koko with the Electric Surge, going to get that boost. But Tapu Fini is going to get the Misty Surge up in the end. The opens for Kyle was Tapu Koko and Lapras, which is what we saw the last time around. Danny switching it up, bringing our boy Tapu Fini in with the Arcanine.
Yeah, really good adjustment by Danny there. Bringing the Tapu Fini, being able to reset the Misty terrain from the electric terrain, as well as being able to dish some damage onto the Lapras, potentially with a Dazzling Gleam or even a Moonblast.
Thunderbolt onto Tapu Fini, not in the Electric Surge, so not going to be enough for the knockout. Snarl going to hit both. Kind of hurt Tapu Koko more than Lapras, really, but it still does affect those freeze dries and things like that a little bit. Calm Mind going to boost Tapu Fini's special attack and special defense by 1 stage, so it's a little bit bulkier and has a little bit more offensive pressure. And the Lapras with the freeze dry, onto Tapu Fini there, brings it down to the red. Not enough because of that Calm Mind boost. Not enough for the knockout.
Yeah, really, really good play by Kyle. Even just double targeting onto the Tapu Fini and being able to dish all those damage, and Thunderbolt plus the freeze dry, taking it right down to about a quarter health. And even with the Calm Mind, I don't know. I think Danny's in kind of a rough spot right now.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can pull it out, but not looking in a promising situation for that Tapu Fini, even though it got the boost off. Protect from Fini. Thunderbolt not going for the bait. Thunderbolting into Arcanine, doing an okay amount of damage. Flare Blitz onto the Lapras. No, Tapu Koko on that turn, bringing it down. Not even in the red, so surviving it relatively well. And the Hydro Pump. Finally a Hydro Pump miss from that Lapras. That's what Danny's been waiting for.
Yeah, Flare Blitz damage onto that Tapu Koko. Just being able to survive there with about a quarter. I still want to know what kind of set that Arcanine is running. I think did we see Snarl the previous game? So we saw Snarl, we saw the Flare Blitz. I really want to see if this is Bandit or if it's an Extreme Speed type, because being able to do that and just getting the knockout on the Tapu Koko would be really huge for the Tapu Fini to start dealing some damage here.
Or if it's Assault Vest, it's not really worried about those Thunderbolts coming out from Tapu Koko. Could be anything right now for the Arcanine. There he gets the knockout on Tapu Koko. There it is.
Yep, there's the Extreme Speed knocking out the Tapu Koko. Really good for Danny now, and he's being able to set up that Calm Mind, which is really huge.
Yeah, that's a really aggressive play from Danny, going to get another special attack and special defense boost. Hydro Pump connects on Arcanine, going to get the knockout, but Tapu Fini is now +2 in major stats for it, and it didn't get attacked at all this turn.
Yeah, the Extreme Speed really getting good, and look at that, all that leftovers recovery from Tapu Fini, really putting it back almost to about a half now, and he can start threatening Kyle's Pokemon depending on what he decides to send out.
And if Tapu Bulu comes in, another Protect on Tapu Fini, and that's going to be at pretty much 50%. It's just going to keep getting that HP back.
Yeah, exactly. And even with the Bulu coming in, he would be able to get the grassy terrain and then more recovery. So,
Alolan Marowak going to come in, make an appearance here for Kyle's team, and Kartana is also on Danny's end. So in this situation, does Danny have enough offensive pressure to get rid of Lapras, or is Marowak too big of a problem with that special attack or that special effective Flare Blitz?
Honestly, I think Danny has the advantage. I think he would be in a great spot if he decides to go for a double target. It really just depends if he is able to read the Protect off of Marowak. Kartana generally carrying Assault Vest, as we've seen in the past regionals, but those 4 moves really could do some big damage, particularly Night Slash onto the Marowak would be able to knock it out.
Lapras is going to switch out into Tapu Bulu, so Grassy Surge is going to set up. That's going to give all of the Pokemon on the field essentially a free leftovers at the end of the turn. And the Leaf Blade into Tapu Bulu resisted, so not going to be doing too much there. But Muddy Water, Marowak avoids. That's the one target it needed to hit in this game. So it hits Tapu Bulu, but again, resisted, not going to do too much. That Flare Blitz onto the Kartana is probably going to get the knockout if it's not sashed. And it's not sashed, so that Muddy Water, that was a devastating miss for Danny.
Yeah, really, really heartening for Danny. He had a really good control right there, and just being able to hit those attacks would have been would have put him in a really good spot.
Also, Kyle with the switch in from Tapu Bulu, not wanting to take that Leap Blade on the Lapras. That was also a big move by Kyle.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to see that Grassy Surge being activated, so the Grassy Terrain is going to start recovering more health on all of the Pokemon on the field, particularly helping that that Tapu Fini leftovers recovery, Grassy Terrain recovery.
But what's bad about this for Danny is Grassy Surge lowers Earthquake's power from Garchomp, and Tapu Fini can't switch out here to reset the Surge, so this is looking really strong for Kyle.
Yeah, particularly that Marowak, sure, like you said, will be getting threatened by the Earthquake, so it'll likely be able to survive and potentially be enough damage to the Tapu Fini, but depending on how both players train their Pokemon, Tapu Fini is naturally faster than the Marowak.
Marowak going to switch out back into that Lapras slot. Feeling relatively safe. Obviously, it's very bulky, so it's not going to get knocked out here. Tapu Bulu with the Protect. So what's his Garchomp go for? That is the Tectonic Rage. Yes, he touches the ground. That's where the ground lives, on the bottom. Tectonic Rage coming out for Garchomp. Is it into the Lapras slot? I would assume, because he'd be going for the Marowak. Is that going to be enough for a knockout? I don't think so. Garchomp is strong, though, so bring it all the way down to the Earth's core. Does he get the knockout here? No, he doesn't. Grassy Surge comes in clutch there for Kyle, and the Moonblast goes straight into that Protect. That would have been a big turnaround if Danny could have got the knockout, but with Grassy Surge up, Kyle knew his calcs.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was really important to being able to double target a Pokemon right there, because having that grassy terrain out on the field already is going to be lowering your ground type attacks, and you kind of need to make those tough predictions and trying to get back in the lead, because right now Danny is only at 2 Pokemon versus Kyle's 3, so he really needs to try and make that comeback right there, and that would have been perfect.
Garchomp is at full health here. Tapu Fini has recovered a lot. It was almost in the red, and look, it's back over 50%. So that leftovers and Grassy Surge has helped, but will it be enough to force a game 3?
Yeah, exactly. Horn Leech is definitely going to be threatening that Tapu Fini, being a water type, going to get weakened by the grass type attacks from it. But Lapras also being able to do some small damage probably with the Ice Shard onto that Garchomp. So any damage you could deal right now, I think it should just go and take it.
Garchomp going for the Poison Jab 4 times a week onto Tapu Bulu, so that will be enough for the knockout. Does Lapras go for an Ice type? Does he go for the Freeze Dry? Or is it going to get knocked out here from Tapu Fini on that Moonblast? It is enough. Remember, Tapu Fini was +2 from those Calm Mind, so it definitely took advantage of those Calm Mind boosts, getting a double knockout and not taking any damage in that turn.
Yeah, amazing. Kyle really kind of left Tapu Fini off guard, and look, it's already back to about 3/4 of health, and in combination of the grassy terrain, it definitely healed literally all its health back. So Danny is in a really good spot here. Combination of either maybe a Protect and Earthquake, or even just going for that Muddy Water should get him to this game 3.
Yeah, Marowak is weak to both Tapu Fini and Garchomp. Not going to be able to put out enough offensive pressure, really, to get 2 knockouts before it gets knocked out. So Kyle might want to forfeit.
Yeah, exactly. He could try and get more information, but I think both players have pretty much have a pretty good understanding on what they are both using. But we're going to see a Stone Edge onto the Marowak.
Whoa, Stone Edge being revealed. Does not hit. Muddy Water is super effective. Going to knock it out there. Interesting for Danny to reveal the Stone Edge tech. A lot of times we don't see Stone Edge or Rock Slide anymore in Gen 7 for that Poison Jab, but Danny has Poison Jab and Stone Edge.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Oh, so just as a follow-up, the grassy terrain doesn't decrease the ground type Z move, so Tectonic Rage is not decreased from Grassy Surge. Thank you, chat. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
We love you. You're awesome.
Thanks, chat room.
I don't know anyone in specific who's in the chat, but clearly you guys are looking out for us.
Yeah, we use Bulbapedia, but clearly they missed out on mentioning. I know they mentioned Earthquake, they mentioned Bulldoze and Magnitude, but I don't believe they mentioned anything about the Z move. So thanks, Chad, for giving us that very vital information.
Yeah, so it wasn't a roll or something. The Lapras was always going to survive that Tectonic Rage.
Exactly. barring critical hits.
Right. Game 3, so we have our first Game 3 so far here today at the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. Danny was able to come back in Game 2. It looked almost, very bleak for Danny in that situation. But the ability to get those two calm minds off, I thought it was very aggressive at the time, but it really worked off there. And the leftovers grassy surge. Maybe Kyle, maybe he's thinking, all right, I don't need Tapu Bulu here. It's only going to help out the Tapu Fini.
Yeah, I think going into this Game 3 match, I think Kyle needs to bring in both of his Tapus, because at this point, it's clearly obvious that Tapu Fini was the winner of this, like the MVP player of the entire team for Danny, and being able to set up those calm minds was really helpful. So I think that's a good play for Kyle to do in this next match. But seeing Danny's team, I don't really think he needs to make much adjustments other than trying to keep his Kartana safe, because it literally just got knocked out by that Flare Blitz.
And we saw game 2, Danny wins, and he leaves his tech Pokemon out of it, Vanillix and Mandibuzz. So that might be, just bring the same 4, protect Kartana a lot better, like you were mentioning, and that might be the key to victory.
Yeah, even that last couple turns by Danny, when he revealed that Stone Edge, I don't think it was important to reveal that. If he had just done maybe a Protect and Muddy Water, I think that would have been better. But I guess he's also risking the chance that Muddy Water might miss. So
right, and he didn't want to Earthquake his own Tapu Fini or whatever. But I understand. But
exactly.
if he saved Stone Edge for Game 3, might have mattered.
Exactly.
But let's get into it. Game 3 here. Kyle Morris on the bottom of your screen. Danny Hemchen on the top. 2 local New York, New Jersey players making the commute in the snow all the way out here to Pennsylvania. Tapu Fini and Arcanine is Danny's lead, and again, Tapu Koko and Lapras for Kyle.
Yeah, so we're going to see that Electrocute go and electrify the field, but Tapu Fini going to bring out that Misty Surge. So again, there'll be no added effects on both of these Pokemon. Tapu Koko already threatening that Tapu Fini with a Thunderbolt, but as we saw earlier, Arcanine is carrying the Snarl move, so could go ahead and lower the special attack of both of Kyle's Pokemon. And Lapras could also threaten, once again, a Hydro Pump onto that Arcanine, so Danny might want to try and adjust here with this lead.
Kyle has been getting relatively lucky with his Hydro Pump connects. He only missed 1 so far, so he's 3 out of 4. 75%. Hydro Pump is 80% accuracy, so the next one might not go in Kyle's favor.
Yeah, but we're going to see an attack go off right here by Kyle.
Thunderbolt, Tapu Fini, we saw it didn't get the knockout last time around. That happened. Snarl, going to lower. I feel like we've seen this this turn already from both of these players. Lowering the special attack of both of Kyle's Pokemon. And the Calm Mind, again, from Danny, trying to get set up relatively fast here.
Yeah, being able to bring out that special attack and special defense boost will be really huge, as we saw in that last game. But the Freeze Dry, again, onto the top of Fini, just bringing it right down to the red.
It's like we see the same things again. It's like history repeating itself. And now we're in the same situation here where I think Kyle, if he wants to get Misty Surge out of here, he's got to switch out Tapu Koko, bring in Bulu, or whoever's 4th Pokemon is in the back. You don't want Misty Surge to stay up.
Yeah, and then Danny has to make that crazy read of using the Flare Blitz on the Tapu Koko if it decides to switch out.
Tapu Koko does stay in for the Thunderbolt, not going for the Tapu Fini there, hitting the Arcanine instead, and the Flare Blitz onto the Tapu Koko brings it down to under 50% there. Tapu Fini with the Moonblast. Did it double target Koko? Yes, it did. So that should be enough for the knockout. The double target does take down Kyle's Tapu Koko. And Lapras with the Hydro Pump connects on Arcanine. So it's going to get the knockout here. But my question is, Tapu Koko went for the Thunderbolt on Arcanine, and then Lapras went for the Hydro Pump on Arcanine again. So Tapu Fini was the MVP of Game 2, and it just, got a free Calm Mind off and just survived another turn without getting attacked.
Yeah, history is starting to repeat itself again. I'm afraid to see what Kyle brought as his 3rd and 4th Pokemon, because we did see that Tapu Bulu earlier, but we are going to see a Celesteela instead.
Everybody, stop the clock. This is the first Celesteela of the Pennsylvania Midseason Showdown. So whoever had whatever time we have, you have won the prize. Garchomp and Celesteela are the switch-ins. Maybe this is a better move for Kyle because Celesteela is immune to those ground-type attacks.
Yeah, also, depending on what Celesteela is carrying, the traditional set has been the Substitute, Leech Seed, Protect, and Heavy Slam. So it could go for a heavy slam onto that Tapu Fini, potentially making it really close for knocking out, but we are going to see the switch.
Here comes Tapu Bulu bringing Grassy Surge out here. Every Pokemon except for Celesteela, because it is not grounded, is going to be recovering from the grass terrain. Here is the Z move. Again, Tectonic Rage. If it went for Tapu Bulu, probably going to do an okay amount of damage, but not be a knockout. I would assume, obviously, not going to Celesteela. There it is, into Tapu Bulu. Maybe around 50%. Danny is hoping for something in that range and doesn't get it. Not even close to 50% there. Moonblast onto Tapu Bulu. The double target on that Lapras slot, and it survives. It survives in the red. No knockout. Heavy Slam is enough for the knockout there. Now, what is the Beast Boost for Celesteela? That's going to be important for this game. Attack. So it's now stronger than it was before. Can do a little bit more damage to that Garchomp.
Yeah, I was actually really surprised. I wasn't even sure on the calc, but I figured that maybe 10% Tapu Fini might survive that heavy slam, but instead we're going to see the Kartana switch in now.
Kartana, if it's a Solvet, a lot of Kartanas run Sacred Sword, which would be neutral for Celesteela. Maybe you want to attack the Tapu Bulu with Kartana just so it gets knocked out first. Go for that Stone Edge on Celesteela. It's a big turn for Danny.
Yeah, it's another option for it. And then once again, Tapu Bulu being able to set up the grassy terrain, and all Pokemon will be able to restore their health, barring the Celesteela.
Garchomp with the Protect this turn, and Tapu Bulu also going to Protect. So does Kartana attack the Celesteela? Sacred Sword into Celesteela there. Does a good amount of damage with that critical hit, and a Flamethrower. The tech, Lorcy going crazy with that Flamethrower, gets the knockout. Had to call it out because it was beautiful. Flamethrower, and it's going to get another attack boost. So it's now +2 in its attack, but it used its special attack to one-hit Kartana.
Yeah, once again, just pulling out the techs and the surprises here. Kyle not bringing that Celesteela at all until this Game 3, and being able to show off that Flamethrower really caught Danny off guard.
I would usually assume that if you have Flamethrower, you might want to boost your special defense in case of that, like the Celesteela Mirror or something, but he goes for the attack beast boost.
Yeah, attack beast boost, really important, and just being able to increase your attack stages, and it's already at 2 stages of attack, so Heavy Slime will be doing a good amount of damage onto that Garchomp.
Wow, that is a lot. Brings it down to almost a one-hit knockout, but the rough skin. And it's Kyle, if he can survive another hit from the Garchomp, he can pull away here in Game 3.
Yeah, I think we saw. Have we seen all of Garchomp's moves? Okay, so just in case, because generally the last move is usually Fire Fang on the Garchomp, but instead we're going to see that Lapras come out, and we did see the Ice Shard being revealed, so this looks like a clean game for Kyle right now.
Kyle able to take it back. He won Game 1 relatively convincingly. Game 2 he was ahead, but Danny, with that Tapu Fini being the MVP that it is, was able to force Game 3. Kyle kept his head here and was able to come out with the win. And there's a forfeit. There's a handshake. Congrats to Kyle. He's now 2-0.
Yeah, really perfect match. I love these best-of-3 matches, especially going to Game 3, because 2-0s are pretty boring, and seeing how both players are able to come back is really important, and I think Kyle did a really good job with that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see Celesteela to wait till Game 3, because a lot of times you can see players either want the early games to go longer with the Celesteela recovery and anything, but Kyle waiting for Game 3 to not only ever show Celesteela, but also wait for the Flamethrower onto Kartana. That was really important for Kyle, and awesome. Hopefully it'll work out well for him for the rest of the day.
Yeah, really. Again, all these best-of-3s, it always comes down to surprise factors, and generally if you have a Pokemon to cover the other one, this attack I have, that covers the other one. Let me bring it in my Game 3 and not reveal anything about it. And he did just that with that Celesteela, so props to him.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break here at the end of round 2. When we come back, we'll have an interview with Kyle, talk about his team and how he's going to do throughout the day, how his day is going, really. I'm really interested to learn about Kyle. So stay tuned. We're right here on Liberty Garden.
All right, thanks, guys. We'll be right back.